Chapter 4 Barrels. Barrels are rolled towards the player every few seconds. When it reaches a screen's edge, if the player is currently below the barrel, or the barrel is an explosive type, then it will fall down to the next platform. Otherwise, it rolls off the screen's edge, despawning. If an explosive barrel makes it to the very bottom platform, then it will explode, creating another living fire to chase the player. Kong, on occasion, may also decide to throw a barrel instead of rolling one. These are called wild barrels, and are much harder to avoid as they bounce off each platform until it reaches the bottom, where it resumes rolling. Here in Chapter 4, we'll be creating and writing the code for the barrels, including both their rolling and throwing behavior. This will be our very first enemy in the game. So we'll begin by creating a new script and naming it barrel, and then add the following required variables. Since the spawning of barrels is within the level factory script, the barrels are going to need a way of receiving their settings and variables from the level factory. So create a public function called set so that the level factory may call it when a barrel spawns. Return to the level factory script. We require access to some more private level data, so we'll create yet another small get function to achieve this. So while we're still here in the level factory script, we'll take the opportunity to write the spawn function for the barrels. But first, the level factory script is going to need some more variables. Next, we write the function which spawns our barrels. Each time our enemy shoots, he animates. However, we need him to go back to his original idle animation straight after, so we'll create a small function to do this. Next, we'll write the update function that will manage the spawning of barrels. We've created a small function to use as a delegate, but we haven't passed the function on as a delegate yet. Append the following to concreate in the level factory. And now it's time to create the barrel prefabs. In the animation controller component attached on the child, you will need to add 4 animations. Create both the barrel and barrel drop layers, and set the barrel to the barrel layer. Set the child object to the same layer. In the layer collision matrix, make sure to uncheck collision between barrel, barrel, barrel drop barrel, barrel drop barrel drop, and barrel drop platform. Return back to the barrel prefab's child object to make some final changes. Now we just need to make sure the barrel spawn timer function will be called. Add the following into the level factory's update. Before we begin making the barrels roll, we're going to need to write some public access functions for some data from other scripts. The first is within the player script. The second is within the level factory script. And while we're here, let's add a way to remove barrels from the game. With those out of the way, we're now able to return to the main focus of adding the roll function to our barrels. Let's start by adding the new required variables. Now we can finally code our rolling behavior for our barrels. Now have our barrels rolling down our platforms. Next, we need to make it so that whenever a barrel rolls over a ladder, broken or not, it has a chance to drop down to the platform below. We'll start by writing a function that keeps track of the barrel's level index position. We need some more new variables. Next we'll write our base falling function called falling update. Here we are checking every frame to see if the conditions are right to be able to move on to the next function, which rolls the actual odds. We also make sure that once a falling barrel has gone below the platform it started falling from, it becomes solid again. So our previous function made sure that the barrel is in the right spot to fall. This next part deals specifically with the chances of the barrel dropping. Since our barrel has met the criteria and rolled the chance to fall, we now move on to actually falling. First though, we're going to need to know what rung the barrel is touching. We'll store this with a reference variable. Our start falling function manipulates our barrel so that it falls. When our barrel does start falling, it needs to change sprite. Now find the commented out update sprite call within set in the barrel script and uncomment it. We now have our barrels rolling and falling, but there's one last thing a barrel can do. They can be thrown at the player. This is what's often referred to as wild barrels. However, within the code here, they're referenced as aim barrels. Aim barrels have three different types they can be. Type 1 picks a random location to move towards each bounce. These can be hard or easy to dodge, as they're unpredictable. Type 2 bounces directly towards the player. However, when it reaches the platform directly above the player, its next target is random between either the left, right, or on top of the player. This makes it one of the hardest barrels to dodge, as it's only predictable at the very last second. Type 3 halves the distance between itself and the player every single bounce, making it the most accurate, but the easiest to predict and dodge. But first, our aim barrels are going to require a few settings. The aim function replaces the roll behavior whenever the barrel is wild. finally on the home stretch for our barrels. The last thing they need is collision. Just like with start, update and awake, Unity also provides us with many other built-in functions we can use. One such one is the onCollisionEnter 2D and the onTriggerEnter 2D functions. These functions are only called when an object with an attached collider touches another object with a collider in the scene. The trigger version of the onCollisionEnter 2D function is for when a collider component has the isTrigger setting enabled. This kind of an object will call the onTriggerEnter 2D function, but will not actually physically collide with an object. Both the aim and bomb type barrels have different behaviour when they collide while falling, so they both have a reaction function for themselves. The aim barrel needs to recalculate its trajectory each time it bounces on a platform that isn't the bottom. The bomb barrels simply need to return to a rolling barrel once they hit the bottom floor. We now have all the functions we need for our barrels. Now we just need to hook it all up into the update loop. Go ahead and do this now. Congratulations! You've finished Chapter 4. If you've done everything correctly, you should now be able to save, compile, and run your project to find the barrels coming down towards you. Note that we haven't coded death for the player yet, so the barrels currently won't kill you.